Hello and thanks for joining us on Encore. Coming up on today's music show, P J Harvey sends us lyrical dispatches from the front line as the British singer blends journalism and rock in her new record. French singer-songwriter Renaud is back with a 17th album after years in the shadows battling heartbreak and addiction. And it's time to dust off your tent pegs. The music festival season is kicking off, so we take a look at some of the best outdoor events coming up across the globe. Well, for all that, I'm joined by our music critic, Mariam Saab. Hello, Mariam. Now, we're starting with P J Harvey. This new album, the Hope Six Demolition Project, sees her tackling some major social issues, some of which are quite controversial, I believe.
Yes, it's actually inspired by the Hope Six Project in the US. Now, a skeptical P J Harvey really picks apart the scheme, which she sees run down public housing projects and hard done by areas demolished to make room for newer developments. Let's take a sneak peek. Much anticipated follow-up to the Mercury-winning Let England Shake. Now, it was a labour of love, adventure, and as you mentioned, citizen journalism. The English rocker wrote the album as well as a recently published book of poetry while travelling through Kosovo, Afghanistan, Washington with filmmaker Seamus Murphy over the course of 4 years. It's dark, grim, and gritty. P J Harvey sings of an underworld spoiled by pollution, poverty, and war. Now, all ears are on one controversial track in particular, The Community of Hope. It's about Washington, D.C.'s Ward 7 neighbourhood, one of D.C.'s poorest, most underdeveloped districts. Now, P J Harvey describes it as a drug town with terrible schools and zombies. Now, as you can imagine, local politicians weren't happy. They hit back and...
a scathing critique of, of a place.
Former Mayor Vince Gray went so far as to say that P J Harvey is to music what Piers Morgan is to cable news. Ouch. Now,
nice.
It's not the first time she's climbed up on her soapbox. She once challenged David Cameron over cuts made to the arts.
So she's getting political, as always, from P J Harvey. Now, you mentioned that she made this amazing trip to Kosovo, Afghanistan. The research and writing process then was quite unique for a musical project, and the recording process for the album was also something akin to performance art. Tell us more.
Yes, well, it's not a huge departure for her because she is a former art student. So on her 9th studio album, she actually recorded it inside an architectural installation at Somerset House in London. So through one-way glass, visitors got to experience the album being made firsthand.
Very innovative, as always. Now, we're moving to France, to a more synthetic sound, perhaps. French electro act M83. Their sound has become ubiquitous here in France. The new album's out this week. What do you make of it?
Well, M83 are stuck in a creative time warp. The group's mastermind, Anthony Gonzalez, tuned into the vibe of TV show themes from the 70s and 80s like Punky Brewster and Who's the Boss. Now, describing the record, the band leader says he sees a broken radio floating in space and playing songs from different eras of humanity.
Okay, well, it sounds like something of a vintage feel. Let's take a listen.
This record is definitely worth a listen. M83 really come into their groove on Junk. This is the French electro crew's 7th outing. It's the first album without longtime vocalist and keyboardist Morgan Kibbe, the band actually put a call out online to crowdsource for new talent, and they picked Kayla Sinclair from an open online audition. Now, they're one step ahead of bootleggers on this record, and I think this is kind of genius. They've embraced the new digital age by uploading the whole album onto YouTube. In exchange, they hope their fans will buy a ticket to their show.
Very generous, and maybe a strategy that will work. Okay, now to a very different style, French singer-songwriter Renaud. He's back with a new album. He's something of a reference here in France, has been for about 40 years now, known for his brand of protest song, but also for his personal life. Tell us more.
Yes, this new album marks his 17th, and it was launched he has a following in France based on the conviction of his social and political beliefs. For example, in the 80s, he was very outspoken against Margaret Thatcher, for instance. Now, the volatile singer has become notorious for his lifestyle just as much as his musical ability, having publicly battled with addiction, which he says that he's now moved beyond. So he's been out of the limelight for almost a decade, until now, that is. Let's take a look at this report by Luke Schrager.
The world has Bob Dylan, but France has Renaud. At least it did until he virtually disappeared from the limelight for nearly a decade. Now, though, Toujours Debout, Still Standing, the title of one of the songs on his new album, the first since 2009. It's an evolution of Renaud's earlier work. The son of a crime novelist, he long held left-wing views that were reflected in his songwriting, even taking potshots at then British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher.
An artist's role is to be a bit of a rebel, to contest things, to be impertinent.
That showed in Renaud's social activism well into the 90s. However, the last decade spiraled out of his control.
I thought I'd been forgotten, that I was dead. I had nothing to say, nothing to sing about. I'm a has-been. I couldn't go on stage, sing or write. I was in total despair because of the damn alcohol.
Now, though, he's finally bounced back with an album inspired both by family and solidarity in the wake of last January's terror attacks in Paris. Like the proverbial phoenix reborn from its own ashes, and the French public at large couldn't be happier.
It's good for him and for us. He says positive things. He encourages us not to lose hope and to keep going.
His voice has ripened. It's deeper. There's this humanity to it.
With an upbeat tone, Renaud's not afraid to tackle those darker issues he battled over the years. He says it's been 6 months since he touched a drop of alcohol, with a collaboration on an album from French slam artist Grand Corps Malade getting him back in the game.
I felt I had to start writing, and it came flowing out in torrents. I ripped out 12 songs in a single day.
With Renaud, it's like he keeps coming back from the dead. It's amazing. This time it's even more unexpected, since everyone basically thought it was all over.
After release of the self-titled Renaud, the singer will be back on the touring circuit in October across France.
Now, if you're looking for a chance to get your dose of music in the fresh air, it's just about getting warm enough here in Europe for a string of festivals. And the Printemps de Bourges here in France is among the first of the season. Mariam, what's on the lineup?
Some big draws like Congolese-French rapper Maître Gims, Lebanese trumpet player Ibrahim Malouf, Mika. They're just some of the names kicking off the festival for its 40th edition. That's one of the biggest music festivals in France, showcasing some 200 French and international artists in over 6 days of music. My pick of the lineup is American soul singer Son Little. Let's have a listen.
Baby, won't you lay down? Let's watch this water boil. Let the others run around. for once. Said, baby, won't you lay down and watch this water boil? Let the others run around just this once.
Well, there's no guarantee for sun in Bourges, but there is guarantee of some desert sun in Coachella. That's the festival happening in California. Now, it's become a legendary event, mainly because they get some massive names. Who's on the bill this time?
Well, aside from party starter and festival staple Calvin Harris, two massive reunions topping Coachella's lineup this year. One of the biggest rock groups of all time, Guns N' Roses, and electro rock outfit LCD Sound System are both teeing up for a second coming. Now, 20 years in the making, Axl Rose will perform with the original members of Slash, Slash on lead guitar and Duff McKagan on bass for the first time since the early 90s. It's a reconciliation that not even their Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction could inspire. Now, LCD Sound System called it quits 5 years ago with a Madison Square Garden show that was described as the best funeral ever. Well, this is the best resurrection ever because Coachella is just the beginning for them. They've also got a new album on the way. Now, Coachella not only breaks bands, but it also puts them back together again. In previous years, the festival spurred the likes of Daft Punk, 9 Inch Nails, and Outkast into coming back together again.
Well, let's hope that the festival goers are old enough to remember the likes of Guns N' Roses. Mariam, thank you very much for being with us. We'll leave you with a taste of LCD Sound System. Remember to check out our website. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.